Welcome to Y'all Hate Sports Part 2, Bandwagoning. First off, I have to apologize for the delay between parts. Work and life have been tag teaming me worse than the Usos. But you know what? We're here now, and now I have to talk to you about why bandwagoning is so controversial. It's described in the dictionary as to be used in reference to an activity or cause that is currently popular or attracting support. In sports, is the one thing that can either have a mob sent to your house or get an invitation to join said mob. This Sunday is the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, and the Super Bowl is one of the most watched televised events of the entire year. And there are some fans of other teams that want to see one of these teams win just out of pure spite for the other team. And I should clarify, because it is a pretty gray area, stan accounts and bandwagoning are not the same thing. Let me break down bandwagon math for you. If you are loyal to one person or athlete, then it is just that. However, if you were to find yourself still rooting for the same team after said person or athlete you support leaves the team, then you are officially a bandwagoner for 1 year. If you are still rooting for that team after a year, then you are considered a fan of that team. An unwritten rule across all sports is you are assigned to the team that you support. It's like a marriage. You have to rep this team for better or for worse. Alright, you can't jump ship no matter how bad it gets, because it ultimately always gets better. Don't believe me? Ask a Kings fan how much fun they've had over the last 2 years, or a Lions fan that has waited over 30 years just to see their team in a championship game. For the better part of this century, both of those teams have been equal. But just last year in the NHL, NBA, and MLB, we had teams win their first title in franchise history. Some of these franchises have been around for decades too. The ultimate satisfaction of seeing a team you've loved and supported for years finally win the big game is something that can only be described as euphoric. So, imagine being a fan of one of those teams for years just to have random Mark coming out of the blue and saying he's been a fan for years, even though he's just been watching their games for like a week. If you are someone that is looking to get into sports, do not be like Mark. Instead, start supporting the teams in the area that you live in. If that team sucks, then find a team that you may actually like and start supporting them. If you like a certain athlete, make it well known that you support them and only them, and try not to be toxic about it. Stan accounts are another topic for another day, but trust me, we'll get into them. So, in conclusion, bandwagoning is okay for the following people. Newcomers that are looking to get into the sport. So anybody that wants to become a fan of football or hockey or soccer or whatever, you have that year rental to figure out who and what teams you like. Stan accounts that are only there to support the person or athlete that they play or represent. Swifties, bronzesexuals, I'm talking to you right now. Fans whose teams have already been eliminated from the playoffs. So like an Eagles fan, a Ravens fan, Pistons, Yankees, teams like that. If you want a team to root for come playoff time, you have that freedom. And finally, people who need a team to root for so you don't feel out of the loop. Like I said earlier, the Super Bowl is one of the most watched televised events of the year. You don't want to go into work the next morning and have everyone talking about the game and you have no idea what they're talking about. You could be in the conversation and bring up the Puppy Bowl, and no slander to the Puppy Bowl, because that's great, but come on. But with all that being said, bandwagoning is not okay for the following people. Any die-hard fan that wants to try and jump ship to another team. So a Cowboys fan trying to become a Chiefs fan. Like, no, buddy, every year you say it's your year. Don't stop saying that now, because your team continues to disappoint you. You are a die-hard Cowboys fan. Anyone that has slandered the team that they are trying to root for now. It'd be like a Ravens fan trying to root for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, one, that doesn't really make much sense because they beat you anyway, but also, why would you want to do that? Stan accounts that root for another team their guy isn't on. Let me say that again. Stan accounts that root for another team that their guy doesn't play for, all right, or that their guy isn't on. You didn't care about the team before your guy got there, and you probably didn't even care about the sport before your guy got there. Don't act like you do now. And finally, bandwagoning is not okay for media analysts. All right, most of them now are former players anyway, so bias goes without question. But some of them really get into fandom like they've been fans for years. But we all know what teams you like, so don't act surprised when people call you out on it. Bandwagoning is not for the faint of heart. What I personally value more when I'm watching sports is loyalty. Loyalty is a dying trait across all sports from fans and players alike. I come from a generation where it would be really hard to imagine a guy like Steph Curry in anything but a Warriors uniform. But at the end of the day, associations like the NBA, NFL, MLB are all a business. But fandom isn't a business. Neither is bandwagoning. So don't ruin the fun for someone that has been waiting to see their team actually win. Overall, what are your thoughts about bandwagoning? Do you consider yourself a bandwagoner now to a team already? If you watch all the way to the end of this video, comment down below who you have winning this Sunday between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. My name is Billy Cameron, and I'll see y'all for part 3 of Y'all Hate Sports.